let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
You never actually broach anything that's in the title, and I think it comes back to bite you at some point. Worth a try, though. Definitely worth a try.
It was fun last. I was chuckling to myself. So what's going on? This is Super PlayStation Bros coming at you live Wednesday morning, as per usual. PlayStation First podcast. Yes, the title is a little clickbaity this morning, but don't you worry. It's just everything to do with PlayStation. That's what we got going on. I'm joined, as always, by the Super Doragon, bringing the Platinum Trophy straight from Astrobot. How are you doing this morning? And thanks for all your help during my stream, getting all those trophies I needed to wrap it up.
You're most welcome, man. That was a grind, that trophy. A very satisfactory, very fun grind. But it was a grind nonetheless to get everything that you needed to get to the Supermaster Challenge, to beat that. You've got it on screen at the moment. I think you've got your particular run of it up right now.
Yeah, because you were Ratchet and I was Papa Rapper.
Yeah. It was one of those, like, I've got the gold. I did run with the gold for quite a while. But yeah, I was running as Ratchet towards the end there. The ears that... The physics on the ears were amazing, but this final level drives you insane, and it's definitely worth holding on and doing that for the Platinum Trophy. It is a wonderful trophy pop for it, definitely. But yeah, you're most welcome with all the help. It took me a little bit of time, a little bit of thought process consideration, and making the brain a bit more wrinkly so that I'm not so smooth brain up here. So it was always nice to be able to pass those new wrinkles on to other people.
Yeah, and it wasn't too bad either. I think I wrapped up, the remaining trophies I had in a short stream. So it's a fast platinum, and free DLC is rumored to be around the corner. So get ready. It's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, but that's what I've been playing. What have you been playing as well? Anything other than the Astrobot Platinum, or I guess that's a lot on itself?
It is a lot on its own, but I actually managed to do a live stream last week. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I promised my community that once I hit 2,000 subscribers, they could get a VR stream. I then let them choose which VR game out of 4 that we did. Across 3 different platforms, they chose Beat Saber, and over the course of 2 hours, they were brutal to me. So they were choosing the songs, they were picking the songs from the soundtracks that I would then be playing through, and they didn't go easy. A couple of them were ones they just wanted to hear the tune to. Most of them were the hardest tracks in the game, and for 2 hours solid, I was playing Beat Saber. I got one heck of a sweat on. I did a lot of new songs, some of the best I've done as well in songs that I'd done previously. Like most of them, I'm missing like 1 beat now to get that perfect level, and I need 3 more levels to get that platinum trophy in Beat Saber as well. It's definitely been one of the more physically demanding platinum trophies I've gone for, and definitely one of the longer ones as well, because half a mistake or your sense controller not tracking properly, it really screws you up. But that was a really fun stream, that one last Friday. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And then yesterday I managed to jump onto the Plucky Squire that we got inclusive with PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium yesterday. And that has been an absolute joy so far, just continuing that flow and feeling from Astrobot into a bit more of an RPG imagination-based title. Really enjoying that one so far. I'm not hugely far through it, but definitely some very interesting mechanics going on in that one and ideas. Well worth checking out.
Yeah, for me, I went straight back into the depths of challenging, and absolutely, I'm in love with Nine Souls right now. It's rumored, I think we covered it in the show, to be coming to PlayStation soon. So if you enjoy a challenge, this is me taking on one of the bosses now, if I can get it to load here. Just the precision that this game demands of you, the story behind it is some of the most emotional storytelling I've ever seen, and I'm reading it all. There's no voice acting. The animations are on point. I think you were commenting you liked it. But I really enjoy this game. Would 100% recommend it to anyone who loves the Souls genre, the Sekiro-like dodging mechanic and parries. Definitely comes with the challenge. This boss I was banging my head against and finally came through, but really a bunch of fun. But let's get into PlayStation news. We got here Sony investigating PlayStation 5 graphical issues in Final Fantasy 16, and all of this is caused by a firmware update. Now, I saw some of the clips on Threads, and it was not looking good. You saw Clive's face like cutting that way. Like, this is local on the PS5. I don't get why some sort of update would mess up a certain game. It doesn't seem like a good look on PlayStation, and obviously they've got to come to the rescue and really clean up what's been happening here.
I think the best example of it is the one that's actually in the article on the Reddit thread, where the world is just going black and chasing Clive down. It almost looks like it's part of the narrative, because that's what's happening in the world. There's this sort of terrible disease that's just eating the world and coming for Clive and co. So if it's almost like it's canon to Final Fantasy 16, it's hilarious. But it is happening in other games as well. You could wave it away in Star Wars Outlaws. It's a Ubisoft game. They make terrible games anyway, so them just going black and not working properly is kind of expected from Ubisoft. But it's happening in things like Black Myth Wukong and co. as well. So there's something that's happened in this particular firmware update. I've had this firmware for about 3 months now. I've been on the beta test for it. I've never encountered anything like this. And I doubt many or any of the other beta testers have either. Otherwise, it would have been addressed before it rolled out to the general public. But that's how these things go on occasion. It's one of the pitfalls of being a big tech company. You have this issue of scale, where a 1% issue in a small business you can ignore because it's just an issue for 1% of the operation. But 1% issue for all of the PlayStations in the world, that's about 500,000 people, maybe more. It's a lot of folk that need to be addressed and sorted. So yeah, it's a very small issue in the grand scheme of things, but obviously that means it's affecting a huge amount of people on PlayStation that just didn't crop up in the beta test or any of their internal testing. So they're now scrambling to try and find a resolution to it and launch that as a firmware update fix. Fingers crossed they can do it pretty quickly, but this is just one of those things. Issue of scale happens with all big tech. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can send an update that seems absolutely fine. Look at the Cloud Strike thing the other month that literally brought the world to its knees, where nothing was working. Formula One had no timing screens. Flights couldn't take off. The American Senate couldn't run. I know all of our news sites over here and news channels in the UK, they had none of the tickers or anything updating. A simple, small thing can have a massive impact. And that appears to be what we've got here.
Well, Sony is aware of the issues, like you said, and they are actively seeking solutions, especially for Final Fantasy XVI. And Square Enix also said in a statement that they apologized and they confirmed Sony is working to address the issues. So everyone knows it's happening. In my mind, I wonder if it's their push to Pro and they maybe missed something and the PS5 is not processing that information. But I'm not a tech guy. The issue is there, and be aware of it, and hopefully it fixes soon, because I know a lot of people like No Man's Sky just came out with a new expedition. People are out there fishing, so to see that gone is, or at least bugged out, is not going to be fantastic. So I'm sure they're on it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But like I say, it's just a small thing. It'll get fixed. You might just have to wait and play other games in the meantime. Oh no, you might have to play one of the thousands of other games available.
Hey, there's a big backlog of Astrobot games I've been cycling through and having fun on. So if you liked Astrobot, you can go back and get into a bunch of awesome titles and really relive the nostalgia. Lego Horizon Adventures is the big talk of the town this Christmas. It is coming before Christmas, ready to be gift wrapped and under the tree for Nintendo Switch as well as PC. PC! Look at that. They're going to get them Lego Adventures as well as PS5. So Horizon is on the move brick by brick. The game has been rated for everyone, so it's a 10 plus game, and it features melee combat against Lego cultists and robotic dinosaurs. So really exactly what they promised, and we're getting Horizon 3, it looks like. It's just in a Lego format.
It's Horizon Zero Dawn, and you know that. It's just the Lego version of it.
Well, it's not Zero Dawn, right?
It's the story of Zero Dawn just in Lego. That has been confirmed. State of play in February. That was confirmed.
Okay, well there you go. They're retelling. It's a remake of sorts.
It's a Lego remake, yeah. I predicted this like 2 years ago. For some reason, one of Obi-Rose Kenobi's old streams popped up, and he had one of my tweets when it was still called Twitter. And I don't know what I was replying to. It was to you and a couple of other people saying, nah, I've got the remake here, and it's just a picture of my Lego tall neck. I literally did predict this 2 years ago. They're just remaking Horizon in Lego.
Well, there it is. Hey, it'd be good to get the story again, but that is a lot of fun. And it'll be good to get the story out there on different platforms. So I hope it does well on the Lego genre, and I hope it does well for Nintendo Switch. And we will see. But bringing up... Oh, yeah? You want to get in on that?
No, I was just saying fingers crossed.
Oh, fingers crossed. Yes. Far Cry VR. Some VR news. But on the sad side, unfortunately, right? Synapses Studio and Dreams confirms restructuring impacting up to... I'm just going to call it 20% of jobs. Redundancies could affect over 40 employees. It doesn't look great for VR when you're reducing staff, especially when you should really be ramping up to throw more efforts behind it. This is what I don't understand. It's like VR is not going to get better if you keep reducing the manpower behind it. And that's what we have here.
It's one of those unfortunate things that we're seeing across the industry. You've got investors who've come on thinking they were going to make an easy buck, going to make a quick buck, because gaming exploded. Gaming absolutely exploded out of the gate in 2020 when literally everybody was at home 24/7. It was the only pastime that we could get down to outside of watching everything that was on Netflix, which happened really quickly because most of us were up to date anyhow, and other things that happen behind closed doors sort of thing. So yeah, gaming was just this massive thing in 2020. There was this huge spike on the sales charts. There was hardware being sold, there was software being sold, there was money flowing everywhere. And you had a bunch of investors come in and say, here, make me a game that's going to make me so much money, not realizing that the moment people went back to work, the moment the world opened up again, people would go outside and touch grass. And we are now seeing across the entire industry the effects of that idiotic buy-in and expansion, because it was just so fast, so huge, too much too quickly. And unfortunately, Endreams are also getting hit by this. These guys are one of the best VR studios out there. They've created some of the greatest games going. Synapse is one of my personal favorites. I think it's one of the most unique, one of the most uniquely interactive games. It's a graphical masterpiece between the monochrome and the psychedelic colors. You've got the force powers, being able to lift things and throw them telekinetically at folks. You've got your guns that you actually have to load up, or you can load them against a wall if you're right next to them. So to lose 17% of that particular studio is just devastating, because they make some of the best VR games going. I hope, because it's around 40 people that are being let go, that they can band together and create a new studio themselves and continue creating beautiful works of art for VR headsets. I don't know what the reality of such a situation is, but VR can run with really small teams. Astrobot was made with just 63 people, so 40 people can easily make a VR studio, especially with the experience that people coming from Endreams will have. So a very sad day, but I'm choosing to see the silver lining here, that out of the ashes we may see a new studio rise.
Let's hope so. Dorgon's optimism.
Hey, it's rare. Make the most of it.
Yes. Now, I don't want to spend another entire episode on the PS5 Pro, but we have it coming up in the news cycle here. We have some cautious optimism from Digital Foundry in their early analysis about the PS Pro, highlighting significant enhancements despite concerns about its price. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I was going to try and fill in, but then you
No,
came back and I was like...
Technical improvements. The PS5 Pro features extra GPU horsepower, enhancing ray tracing and machine learning capabilities. That's the PSSR coming from AMD. It's an AI-powered technology. It's very common in PC games, which allows you to AI upscale. And now they're introducing it into the consoles for the first time. That's right, AI-powered consoles. They're going to get up and start doing your dishes. So it's well worth the price.
I've got a dishwasher. I don't need my games console to do my dishes. Like, can it go to work for me and do my job? That would be nicer. I'd just sit around. Oh, but then I'd want to play on the games console while I'm not at work. It's not working here, man. It's really not working. Now, this report is great. You and I have both been a bit skeptical about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Yours is more the differences internationally, because you've got a really good price for it in your neck of the woods comparatively to the base model. The rest of us, it's like you've basically priced this out of ownership of this thing, Sony. But to hear some of the feedback from Digital Foundry, especially after there were leaks, because this went up on Patreon first for them, so it was paywalled over the course of the weekend before going onto YouTube on Monday. And there were talks of internal resolutions on PS5 Pro only achieving like 856p or something. Now, personally, this didn't bother me at all. And it obviously doesn't bother Digital Foundry when they're talking about it, because pixels and just sheer number of pixels, at least nowadays, don't matter. I'm going to liken this to mobile phones and mobile phone cameras, because that's something that a lot of people can really understand, that they've got like hands-on actual experience with these things. If you take the new iPhone, so the iPhone 16 Pro, that has a 48 megapixel main camera. If you compare that to its competitor from Samsung, that has a 200 megapixel main camera. On just sheer numbers on a sheet of paper, that Samsung should take better photos than that iPhone. The reality is, when you put the two of them next to each other, when you put those photos there, that the quality of those pictures is incredibly similar. So what we're talking about with those photos, and as a extension, the internal resolution of the PlayStation 5 Pro, is the quality of the images, the quality of the pixels that are being sent in the information to the screen. You can have a bigger, higher quality pixel to only give you 800p, or you can have a smaller 2000p pixel density, and so on and so forth. It's about the quality of the image. Pixels don't mean so much anymore, especially since we're in this photorealistic world for about 12, 13 years now, something like that, where we've got graphics that are basically uncanny valley all the time. So it is doing a great job. The quality of these pixels is really high, which then means this AI upscaling, this PSSR technology that is giving you higher resolution, that is giving you higher frames, has got a lot less work to do so that the end result is a lot better. It's seeming like there's a really good base level to be working from here. So that is some really positive, really good news to come out of the PS5 Pro after the debacle of what was the launch last week and us spending an hour basically on opposite sides of the fence just because of where we live and what that means to us.
Well, I like the chat says, buying Pro day one. Others are talking about the price. It's one or the other, but I like that it's not about how many P's you got in the room. It's about the quality of the P. Listen, like anyone here, less P's in the room are better. Am I right?
Stay hydrated, folks, yeah.
Hey, I like that. Quality over quantity. And that's what the PS Pro is delivering, the first AI console. Hey, and if you get it, you are in with one foot with the AI overlords in the end, all right? So this is you saying you're on their side by adapting their technology.
They best earn me a lot of money. They best earn me a lot of money, these AI overlords. Jeez.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
in the UK, it's a little
like
bit different. Maybe drive over. Can't you just drive over to like a? I don't know. The gas
oh
alone
yeah,
would probably
drive over
cost.
3,000 miles over a body of water known as the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
That seems sensible, doesn't it?
It's tough out there. Well, hopefully
Last
there'll
I
be.
checked, there wasn't a bridge.
Yeah. Well, we talked in depth about the PS5 Pro last episode. If you want to catch that, we got a whole video. But for myself, I'll be working on updating my screen so I can take advantage of my current PS5. Because
Use
that's
some tasty morsels for that one in the last week, haven't
yes.
I?
Yeah, I need that all those nits. I want the HDMI 2.1 like Chill Gaming is saying. I'd like to see what 120 FPS looks like. I'm curious because I've never experienced that before. And the PS5 base can pump that out. So
Yeah, I've seen it, but the only way I see it is if I play the flat screen games through my PSVR 2, because that's got 120 hertz mode in it. It's wild, man. I took it into Destiny Crucible, and I performed better than I've ever performed before. That's the sort of difference maker that it is. It improves anything reaction-based gameplay. Gran Turismo running at 120 is superb. Yes, I want racing games running at 120. God of War was just... It was beautiful, man. Like, it was running at about 900p, so sub full HD. But just those chains at 120 frames per second. If you can get a screen that does the HDMI 2.1, that gives you all of the bells and whistles, ideally you'd want an OLED as well so that you get the beautiful inky blacks, that high dynamic range. And if you can get it as a quantum dot OLED, not one of those W OLEDs, because the W ones give you like a purple hue, the PS5 is still an ultimate powerhouse. The Pro, it's going to have to prove itself incredibly well, but because the PS5 itself, and especially you're looking more at monitors than TVs themselves, so you're looking at like the 27 to 32 inch sort of size, you're not going to notice anything more. You don't need more. PS5 will do you perfectly.
Yeah, my main issue is games holding a 60 FPS, and I feel like lighting is a mess in some of these games, like FF7 Rebirth, Dragon's Dogma was a mess with lighting, even Black Myth
OLED,
Wukong.
man.
So
Need the OLED.
I'm thinking it's either a screen issue, and if that doesn't fix it, maybe it's a PS5 Pro upgrade issue. We'll see. But Sony, I'm going to move us along so we don't stay on PS5 Pro for too long. Let's talk about PS6. Because as soon as we get announced on the PS5 Pro, people are obviously going to jump on to the next thing coming into the future. And that is the PS6. And whenever the PlayStation 6 arrives, it's reported that it'll have AMD hardware inside and not Intel. That's right, Intel, get out of here. Hey, people shake hands and now they're doing business. There's big competition. AMD must have put together a great presentation with a great bid to get in. Obviously, being a part of the #1 selling gaming console out there is going to do huge for AMD. If you're looking to pick up some stocks, maybe before the PS6 is announced, AMD wouldn't be a bad one. But who am I? I am not someone to give stock advice, so don't take that as official advice. But it's just what I'm thinking internally in my head. 61 units sold for the PS5. But yes, Intel's bid
61 units.
61 million units sold for the PS5.
You missed the million bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, people know. People know.
It's like, I'm just
61.
counting Canada here.
Sorry, I have a lot going on in the background here, but let's finish off the main points. Intel's bid issues, it was actually blocked due to a disagreement over profit margins. So involved with semiconductors. It's always those damn semiconductors. And that's what messed up Intel's bid process. And actually the semiconductors were the issue that the PS5 had an initial holdback when it was first released. So AMD knew that. They created a bid that did not incorporate that as an aspect, and obviously they were able to get it. So cheers to AMD. I'm sure it'll do well for their company, and Intel looks like you got to get back to the drawing board.
There's a couple of other factors to take into consideration here as well. And the primary one is that the PS5 has got AMD hardware inside it. It runs on RDNA 2 graphics, which are AMD specific graphics. It's a new AMD GPU that's in the PS5 Pro. PlayStation have got this existing relationship with AMD. What that means when it comes to that bidding as well is that AMD don't have to design an entirely new architecture to make their chips work in the next PlayStation, whereas Intel would. So as well as the semiconductor pricing, the profit margins, you've then got the research and development costs to go in there with Intel as well, that they would need to build into their price and their bid. You can't just sweep those away anymore because people are saying Moore's Law is dead. This tech will not get cheaper. So AMD have got that leg up by being in the PlayStation 5 already. They've already got the architecture built, and they can then go ahead and just make it better, faster, stronger for the PlayStation 6. We've got another article coming up saying that the PlayStation 6 is deep in development already, which makes perfect sense. They basically start on the next generation of console when this one releases. So I would be very surprised if it weren't AMD, just because of what a great relationship they've had with them for the PS5. I believe they also did the PS4, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody please correct me if I am wrong there. So yeah, makes perfect sense. AMD can come in cheaper because they've already done all of the hard work and they've already got that working relationship with Sony. So PlayStation 6 is going to have RDNA 3, RDNA 4 graphics, an even bigger GPU and CPU from AMD. Makes perfect sense.
Yes, the PlayStation 4 uses hardware developed by AMD. Specifically, it features a semi-custom accelerated processing unit, an APU. So, there you have it.
I've also been told by chat to tell you to wash your mouth out. What did you say to them?
What did I say to them? Dorgon, tell Rudix to wash his mouth out. Discs are not dead. Oh, yeah. Discs are dead. Discs are dead. Guys.
Discs aren't dead.
Guys.
Discs are not dead.
If you
Dude,
think
what has come
physical
back into
discs
fashion?
are...
What?
Nothing. Everything's going
Just
digital.
answer me this question.
Stop being hoarders, everyone. And
what
minimize how much junk you have in your house.
What has come back into fashion in the last month?
Long curly black hair.
No, that's never been in fashion. I'm sorry, mate. Like, you look like you've gone through a hedge backwards and on fire.
It's Tarzan look, all right?
VHS has come back in a strong way.
Where?
In the last month.
Oh my!
Cassette tapes have come back in a strong way. CDs are back in a strong way. People are getting pissed at this digital-only future because they own nothing. They're paying oodles upon oodles upon oodles of money to have nothing to show for it. So people are now starting to take these matters into their own hands. So VHS players have seen a 17,000% increase in sales, which is insane to me. I remember recording so much stuff off the television and just watching it back again and again and again. Who needed to buy the box set of VHSs? Who needed to buy the DVD when it came out? I just recorded it off the television. People are buying CDs for their music because it's higher quality. It's running at 96 kilobits a second rather than the 44 that you can get on all of these streaming services. And it means it's yours. You can just pop it into any CD player at any point in time and your music is there. They're buying Blu-rays again. They're buying DVDs again. Physical media across the board has seen its first increase in sales in the last 12 years in 2024. If Sony and Microsoft want to try and kill off the disk drive like they're doing with their new consoles, they're going to have a very, very rude awakening when the market tells them that discs are needed.
I don't know. We're going to have to fact check that. And maybe VHSs and discs are just cheaper way to get oil, and they're just crushing it to get the main components inside of it. I'm telling you, physical is in the past. We're moving more towards digital trends. They see all the purchases happening over digital. I mean, physical, I always used to be worried about the disc like degrading over time. And now with digital, you can keep it for as long as you want, so, or as long as they allow you. But that's
the thing. Who's got Concord anymore? Who's got the Crew anymore? These are two games that have launched in the past 10 years that do not exist. Who's got Crucible from Amazon Games anymore? Doesn't exist. Can't play it. Can't download it. There are so many games. 80% of the video game industry does not exist. Unless you can get it on physical. You can't buy it anymore in any way. Can you imagine not being able to buy The Matrix in any way? It would be sacrilege. Yet, that's the situation you've got now. How do you buy and play The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time on PlayStation 5? You don't. You can't. That is one of the seminal games of the last 3 generations, and this is the situation we're getting to. There's already rebellion, and it's Gen Z doing a lot of it. They are basically saying F you to these corporations, and they're gonna have a rude awakening.
All right, here we go. I had to bring in the numbers. So, as of 2023, approximately 95% of video game revenue came from digital sales, leaving only about 5% of physical sales. That is up from 2020, which accounted for 91% of the total gaming industry revenue to come from digital sales. I'm telling you, people are looking at these numbers and
dig deeper. How many of those are microtransactions in mobile titles?
But these are the only numbers that matter to people making games.
They are not the only numbers that matter. Trust me. If you're not selling the base game, if that's not getting out the door, Your microtransactions mean jack.
Well, we'll see what the future has to say. I'm on the digital. Dorgon will always defend physical until, you know, that island has sunk. But until then, let's
I'm
talk
the one who'll
about
win, yes.
let's talk about Digital Foundry. Oh man, I should have put these in better order. RTX 4070 is the closest GPU to the PS5 Pro. How is that possible? And reading this makes me think that the PS5 Pro is 100% worth its price. Like, that is ludicrous, insane. Bananas, cherries, and whipped cream on the top. Like, what do you mean Digital Foundry is saying the 4070 is the closest GPU? Dorgon, talk some sense into me here.
Can I rewind a couple of seconds? Bananas, cherries, and whipped cream. What?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
What is going on?
That's crazy to me. Like, first of all, I'm thinking the PS5 was around the 2000 series in terms of GPUs. What do you mean that they're bumping it up to the 4070 series in equivalency for this GPU? I mean, that to me is it's kind of mind-blowing, and it makes me reconsider, you know, this dusty box on my desk right now. If it's sitting at a 2000 series and there's a 4000 series about to hit the market and a console push-to-play easy option.
It depends who you talk to about what the PlayStation 5 equates to. Any PC nerd will try and play it down. They always will, because they want PC to be the master race. The reality is there is no setup in the PC universe that can give you the CPU, SSD, and GPU performance of the PlayStation 5 at a relative price. You're having to go way beyond to get similar performance. And it's going to be exactly the same thing with the PS5 Pro, because these things are built bespokely to perform in one singular way. PCs aren't built like that. So these comparisons mean not a lot of anything. I've seen comparisons of the PlayStation 5 base model to the 2080, as you're saying, which was one of the top of the line models back then. But I've also seen it compared to the 3060. I've now seen the PS5 Pro compared to the 4070, but the 4070 is basically a 3080. So it just shows you how incremental a lot of the increases in graphics processing units are at the moment. You're getting these brand new GPUs for PCs on a near annual basis, and there isn't going to be this massive jump in capability and performance every single year. It's why Nvidia specifically have been so on this AI upscaling, AI frame generation, DLSS. It can do this, that, and the other through AI. They don't talk about the actual graphical horsepower or the actual graphical performance capability, because if they did, you'd realize you're getting conned, because your old graphics card does exactly the same, just for a lot less money now, because they've been superseded. So that's one side of it, and the other side of it is these are bespoke units designed to do one job, perform in one particular way. They're never going to be apples for apples comparisons. If the 4070 is in a PC build with all of its optimizations and what have you, the closest thing to the PS5 Pro, that's a great thing for anybody who jumps on the PS5 Pro. And as you say, it makes that price a little bit more palatable. But they're still trying to nickel and dime you out of everything else for the rest of the Pro experience. You've still got to buy that DualSense Edge at £209. You've still got to buy that vertical stand at £25. And if you are a physical gamer, you've still got to buy that disc drive at £100. It's still a £1,000 plus console. That then makes the extra £400 for a PC that performs the same way more palatable, because it then does other stuff as well. So, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Still impressive, but a few more questions to be answered before I can say, oh yeah, perfect value for money.
PC's also a digital-only console situation.
Yeah, but you just pirate it over there. You don't buy anything.
Well, let's move on to put our headsets on here. PS5 fans think Sony accidentally leaked a wireless PSVR 2 headset. That's right, there was a battery indicator speculation. An image on PS Blog showed a PSVR 2 headset with a battery indicator, leading to speculation about a possible wireless version. The new firmware update has also introduced a customizable welcome hub, and so they're maybe speculating something was in there for the PSVR 2, and currently there is no plans, no announcements of a wireless setup, and you still have to use the plugin.
I can attest to that, and a couple of folks in chat can as well. I fell over it a couple of times on my live stream last week. That cable is definitely still there. This is interesting because this speculation has come from pictures that Sony themselves have put out into the world. So exactly the same as we saw with the PlayStation 5 Pro, when we had that 30th anniversary announcement a week before the PS5 Pro was officially announced. In that 30th anniversary collage thing was a shadow of the PlayStation 5 Pro. So it looks like they're doing something similar again, where they have given us this insight into what's coming in the future. If you are lucky enough to have this welcome hub now, it's not rolled out to the UK yet, I don't yet have it, but if you are lucky enough to have this welcome hub and you plug your PSVR 2 in, you do not get that symbol on your welcome hub. You will get the symbol for the Sense controllers, the left and the right, you'll get them separately, and it will tell you what the battery left is in those. What you will not get is a battery symbol for the PSVR 2 headset. So for Sony to put this out as one of the official marketing pictures for this welcome hub thing does point towards a large possibility of some form of wireless PSVR 2 headset. Now, whether that is a brand new wireless version of the headset or whether it is an adapter kit for the existing headset, so that you basically put the cable in your back pocket with a transmitter and receiver sort of thing, can't say. We have no information towards that, but it's definitely looking like there are some advancements coming on the PSVR 2 with a leak directly from Sony again. But this is one that they've put out as marketing material, so definitely got some legs, this speculation.
Well, I hope so. I was a little confused why the wire was there when it first got released, but
I can tell you why, because you cannot get the visual fidelity, the frame rates, the resolution or responsiveness of the PSVR 2 if it is wireless. If you try doing, say, PC Link with a Meta Quest headset, you're going to see a lot of stutters. You just are if you're doing it wirelessly, but you can get a cable to plug in to overcome that. It's just the technology, the input. To get the best out of VR, you need to be wired.
yeah, but use some special PS Link technology. Just make me put in a dongle or something, you know? Technology.
That might be what this is. That might be what this is, but
Yeah.
It wasn't there at the time. And you've got a display port on the front of the PS5, so why not just plug directly into that display port and have a perfect VR experience? You just have to contend with a cable, which I had never stood on. Never. In a year and a half of ownership, I had never stood on that cable until that live stream on Friday. But then I nearly broke my neck 3 times.
Oh,
just by
damn.
standing on it, pulling it down.
Brutal. Well, I wanted to talk about this. You may want to check your PS Stars points because there has been some revokes for some people. Sony has a system to revoke PS Star points from players who earn them by buying or pre-ordering a game and then refunded it. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, why would you get points for something you never purchased in the end if you refunded it? I mean, yeah. Sony ran campaigns for Concord that awarded 100 points for pre-ordering or purchasing the game. And those points were now refunded from people, obviously, because they gave the refunds for that game. So obviously That makes 100% sense. Despite
That's where I draw issue with this one. Because they've
Oh, you
only
draw
done
issue.
it
This
for
makes
Concord.
100% sense. They refunded
They've only
you.
done it for Concord. They haven't done it for any other game. So there are games that you can pre-order, and they might do this moving forward, but they have never done this for any other game that has been pre-ordered. You've got your points, and then you've refunded it because reviews come out and it's terrible or something. They removed Concord from sale. They chose to refund everybody, and then they are removing the points that these people earned fair and square and were planning on keeping this game. I draw issue there. They were loyal. They deserve those loyalty points. Stop being a selfish prick, Sony, because that's all we're getting from you at the moment. Like, this is not a good look. You took a game off sale, you took a game down, you killed it, and you refunded everybody. Why are you then stealing their reward points that they earned fair and square? Unacceptable.
Concord's coming back. They didn't kill it.
Are we sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure. Concord's coming back. Mark my words. I guess we're on different sides of this, man. I think if they refunded you the money, you don't deserve the points anymore. The system, the framework of which you received points is gone.
If they made the choice for you, it's their problem, not yours. They should not punish you for their idiocy and failures.
I don't know. I think those reward points are a nice little bonus, definitely for being part of the ecosystem. And if they refund you the money, the framework of which you obtain those points, it makes sense to redeem those points.
I would agree in a scenario where the customer chooses the refund. That would make perfect sense. You've refunded, you've not played, you don't get those points. Totally fair, totally reasonable. But when it's a Sony failure, when it's a PlayStation choice, and it's only happened with Concord, the biggest failure in gaming history, bigger than E.T., that's a Sony issue. They should not be punishing their players even further. They've already taken the game away from them.
Concord's coming back, all right? I believe in Concord. February 2025, Concord releases free to play with a battle pass. Long live Concord. All right, let's jump into Helldivers 2, a game that I am still very fond of. I will say, from start to finish, I have been repping Helldivers, playing once a week, getting up to some shenanigans, and they are releasing a brand new Warbond as well as an update. They've released brand new stratagems. The orbital napalm drops are devastating and so much fun. They've changed the 500 kilogram eagle drop, and now it's an even larger explosion than before. And now we have the rail cannon returning to its glory in damage. And it's absolutely devastating. I think they bumped it up to even higher than before. So Helldivers 2, the Chemical Agents Warbond, launches on tomorrow. So that's pretty cool. There's new gears, and it introduces new offensive gear like, wait for it, the guard dog breath. So it's going to be a guard dog that shoots gas. I think that's pretty cool because I'm a big fan of the guard dog. Additional like new emotes, patterns for hell pods, Pelican 1, tons of like new skins they're introducing in these things now. It's nice to see, although I want to see more done in terms of gameplay mechanics, map design, vehicles, enemies. I want to see more evolved, more boss type enemies. But yeah, hey, it's a lot of fun. I still get up to the chaos once a week, and I think it's success on the PlayStation side right now.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Helldivers 2 is a great game. I do not play it like you. I think I'm like level 12 in the game, maybe, or something like that. But what that means is when I come back to it, quite a lot has changed. It feels like a new, fresh experience when I return to the title. And sometimes that's very important. There's a lot of people who don't just know life a game. They don't jump into a title and play only that for the rest of their days. Not everybody wants to be a Datto does Destiny type situation where all you do is play and talk Destiny. People want to play other games. People have lives. They want to go outside and touch the grass, look at the sun, maybe not directly because it will ruin your retinas, but they want to have a life outside of this one title. So these small updates, these small additions, they make the game feel massively different when people like myself and like many others then return to it. And if there is a big update in the future to bring new enemy factions and such, the population will explode once again. I think Helldivers is doing a darn good job, and I don't think it really needs to change anything. I know they've got plans for other enemy races and such, and I think they just need to do it on their cadence. Get it out the door when it's ready and not force anything, because we've seen multiple times that this live service model killing games. It's killing really good quality games by them just trying to get stuff out the door too quick.
100%. And a game that did not release too quick, 100% polished, perfect performance, makes you wonder why there is a PS5 Pro if a game can run at 4K 60, and that is Astrobot. We have the USA's second best-selling game in its first week, just under NBA 2K25, and yeah, it's nice to see a solid first week come out of the game. We should be seeing more numbers roll out fairly shortly, and in the end, it's cool to see that the game got some good attention, because it definitely deserves it. It also, the article says that the Astrobot controller was the #1 selling accessory. So it's crazy if people bought the controller and didn't even get the game, in my mind.
It's a cute controller. It looks great. Why wouldn't you buy it?
Because the eyes were just stickers. They should have, like, reacted and moved and stuff.
Yeah, do you want to spend another 400 Canadian made-up currency on a controller?
Made-up
so that
currency.
It has blinking eyes?
That made-up currency is buying the PS5 Pro a lot cheaper than Harry Potter dollars. No, the joke is it's Monopoly money, because it's all colorful.
Monopoly is pounds. It's set in the UK.
Yeah, but is your money colorful? Euros.
Yes.
No, you don't use euros. No, it's pounds.
It's not quite as colourful as Monopoly money, but it is colourful.
Oh, okay, because the American money is all green. It's like...
Well, yeah, they're boring. That's why.
Anyways, Astrobot. Astrobot sold a lot. Good.
It did. It sold well here in the UK as well. I know it was top 5. I didn't have exact figures. Digital sales were still coming in last I saw. But it's selling well both physically and digitally here in the UK, just to, twist that knife a little bit further. Astrobot's doing well. It's a great game, and people have been shouting about it. They've been talking to friends about it. They've been posting on social media about it, posting their little wins in some of the harder missions and what have you. It's created a buzz about it that I have not seen from another game in quite a long time. I get the hype around Black Myth Wukong and the sales that went with it. It's just a case of people weren't then talking about it once it had launched. They were just playing it and saying, yeah, it's good. Astrobot, they're talking about every little aspect of it, every little thing. You're seeing people sharing different things that mean something to them. It's a buzz about it that you don't often get at the moment, which is going to keep those sales going stronger further down the line. I have seen on threads at least 50 people go out and buy a PlayStation 5 to play Astrobot after seeing it on threads. So people talking about it, it's one of the best marketing things out there. If you've got a great game, get it into a few people's hands, get people talking, let word of mouth do the rest.
'Cause I'm Astrobot. And you stand in front of the thing when all the pieces are there. GPU. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I got that achievement just because I wanted to listen to all the song. All right, let's jump into everyone's favorite stray little kitty and see what's going on in their publishing house. Oh, wait a second. Entire staff has resigned? What's going on here? It seems like the staff has resigned of Annapurna Interactive, including president Nathan Gray. Well, if the president leaves, is there even a company left? Impacts on the projects. This will significantly impact games developed and publishing partners, including upcoming games like Wanderstop and Mixtape. New leadership, Hector Sanchez, has been appointed as the president of Interactive and New Media at Annapurna, ensuring that existing contracts will be honored. So they're trying to put things back together, but this is pretty devastating for a publisher and a developer that was, again, creating fantastic experiences.
We need more stories like this. We need the industry to take a stand for itself. This is essentially unionization. It's just they've all agreed to walk out and screw Annapurna over. We saw it earlier this year with The Escapist when they weren't happy with how the videos were being made, so they went to fire the head of video and everybody left. They lost their entire videography team in one fell swoop, and they went off. They lost Zero Punctuation, one of the most beloved series on the internet, because Yahtzee went with the head of video. The whole team went. They lost everything. The Escapist didn't release a video on YouTube for about 3 months after this debacle, because they all stuck together. They all knew what they were doing, and they weren't going to let someone take the blame and be the fall guy for all of them. So they all up and left simultaneously. There were rules being put on Annapurna. I'm not entirely sure how I meant to say it. But there were rules being put on them, pressures being put on them that had nothing to do with interactive entertainment. They wanted to be spun out into their own individual aspects, so they were still going to be under the parent company, but they wanted to be spun out into their own individual company and aspect. They were told no, so they walked. Treat your staff well, folks, or they will bite you. And this is really going to bite Annapurna. It's really going to bite them hard. So kudos to the folks. Hopefully they do their spun out studio interactive publishing house thing on their own, and it brings more competition to the industry, more individual competition to the industry. Love to see it. This is great.
Well, there you go. I hope those people land back on their field. Maybe they'll open up their own development. We'll see. They're all pretty experienced in making some pretty great games. So I'm sure they'll land on their feet like a stray cat. Am I right?
Well, we would hope so, yes.
PS4 and is coming out with another game. Okay, stop doing this, PS4. Go away. Stop it.
You only say that because you don't have one.
It's too long. It's too long. We're supporting this thing, and it needs to stop. I mean, they're keeping it alive. They're feeding the virus that is eating their leg. I mean,
so, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You are fine with a company taking loyalty rewards away from people when they decide that they no longer want to produce a game. They no longer want it active. That makes perfect business sense. Those were your exact words, yes?
Yeah.
Perfect business sense.
Yeah.
But when more than half of your players are still on PlayStation 4, because your current console has actually increased in price since it launched, and you're about to launch a new one that is even more expensive, you're saying you shouldn't launch on that PlayStation 4 where more than half of your players are, but launching on that PlayStation 4 makes perfect business sense.
It's
That's
no,
where
this
your
part,
sales are going to come from.
this
Because
part
more
is
than
not
half of your
business
players
sense.
are there.
This is not business sense. This is PS4 is holding back gaming. I mean, if you have to
No,
develop
it's not.
for a lesser console, it holds it back. Things, and at the same time, if they didn't develop so many games for PS4, people would be forced to upgrade to the next console like we have with every single generation before us. This is the only generation that has like carried the last generation for so very long, and I think we need to cut the cords at some point.
Do you know when the last PlayStation 2 was made? Do you know when the last PlayStation 2 game was sold? New PlayStation 2 game. The
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 was the current console at the time of the last PlayStation 2 game. 2 generations later. People cannot upgrade at the rate that these companies want to. We are in the biggest cost of living crisis in 100 years. Our costs increased 5-fold in 2022 and they have not come down since. They've fluctuated at this new peak, but they went vertically up on this cost bracket and then stayed up at the top. People can't afford the base PS5. It's got more expensive. It was £449 here in the UK when it launched. It went up to £500 in 2021, and it went back down to £479 in 2023. It's still more expensive than when it launched. It was an expensive console at launch. It should have come down in price. It's gone up. In Japan, it's gone up 3 times. It costs the equivalent of more than £600 over there. People can't afford to upgrade to these consoles. And the PS4 isn't a slouch. God of War Ragnarok was designed for the PlayStation 4. Are you telling me that's a terrible game? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the closest thing to perfect we've ever had as a video game. And it was designed for the PlayStation 4. Horizon Forbidden West was designed for the PlayStation 4. And that's a beautiful graphical showcase on the PlayStation 5. There is nothing about the PS4 that is holding the PlayStation 5 back. What's holding the PS5 back is developers' optimizations for it. There's no way Gotham Knights should have only run at 30 frames per second. Easy 4K running with how much of that engine it didn't use. They just didn't want to optimize it. PS4 is not holding gaming back, and when half of your consumer base are still on PS4, by all means, release a game there for them as well. Just put some PS5 enhancements upon it for those playing on PS5. Give them the higher frame rates at a higher fidelity, like the PS5 Pro is trying to do.
Then where are my current gen games? If everything's being developed for the PS4, what was the point of even getting this console? Because it seems like this generation is the most disappointing generation of recent time, when every game seems to be developed for the past generation, the lowest common denominator, and you're sitting there with a higher denominator and you're feeling like games should be giving you more, and instead they keep being developed for PS4 lower class consoles. It's like you want to follow the money, but at the same time you're fueling the problem, and no one's going to jump ahead if you keep catering to the lowest common denominator. But that's how the gaming industry has come. Everyone just plays Fortnite anyways, so it's really just it's a lot more niche, I think, than a lot of people give it for. They say it's a huge thing, but when over 50% of your market only plays 3 games, it's an interesting place to be in. But yeah, PS5 slowest, least games developed for this generation right now. Astrobot being one of the only games of late that I can think of developed exclusively for the PS5. If you have one of these consoles, if you did upgrade thinking you were getting a new generation of games, you can't help but be disappointed when all of these titles that are coming from IPs that are strong are still developing for the lowest common denominator. So it comes out of frustration.
there's no frustration because you're still getting that better experience. God of War Ragnarok did not run at 60 frames per second on PlayStation 4. It did on PS4 Pro, but it only did it at 1080p. But it ran at 4K 60 on PS5 because there was that power overhead. They could give it that extra. If you dropped it to 1080p or 800p, you got the 120 frames per second if you had a compatible screen. You're getting those PS5 enhancements. Horizon in 4K looks phenomenal on the PlayStation 5. You can run that in 4K on the PS4 Pro, but it's a 4K checkerboard. It's the same sort of upscaling that you're getting in the PS5 Pro. Still looks good, doesn't look as good as it does on the PlayStation 5. Or you can run it in 60 frames per second at 1440p. You're still getting a better experience on the PlayStation 5. And if you went backwards and just had to deal with the load times of PS4, you would pull your hair out personally. But if you've never experienced any different, because this was my thoughts when the PS5 was coming, I didn't feel the need for a new generation. The games that were coming were still absolutely incredible on PlayStation 4. In 2020, the final year of PlayStation 4, we got The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima within a month of one another. Like, I was eating good on PS4 in 2020. There was no real reason that I needed to upgrade. Yet, the PS5 came along and it improved those games even further because they looked the same, because they already looked absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, but I got more frames out of them, and they loaded exponentially quicker. Ghost of Tsushima had to add loading screens in because it was loading too quick and you were getting an incomplete Jin at points. It was just a cape flowing and an eyeball floating sort of thing. So, you're still getting the benefit of this generation. It's just, developers need to make a choice, and some of them have chosen to only develop for the PlayStation 5. Most of them are first-party studios. It's what Housemarque did with Returnal, it's what Insomniac did with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man 2, it's what Team Asobi did with Astrobot. But some knew that their existing franchises, like Horizon, like God of War, they started on the PS4. So why are you going to get rid of those players who made your game such a success in the first place? You're going to honor them. I totally get it. And I am hoping that this PlayStation 5 generation, this Xbox Series X generation, lasts more than the 8 years. Because we're 4 years in, and like you say, it doesn't feel like a new generation yet. It still feels really young. So why would we need to upgrade in 4 years? I'm hoping it lasts a long time. We're at the point of diminishing returns. It's now down to developers to do something cool and interesting with the tech that's already in front of them. And if they can make it work on older generations as well, and Switch and all that sort of stuff to make a little bit more money, why wouldn't they?
Well, that is our show for this week. Thanks for wrapping it up there, Dorgon. What do you got going on? Where can people find you? Links in the description below. Join us offline in the Discord to chat everything PlayStation. But take it away, Dorgon. What's going on?
So, link in the description below. A video has literally come out whilst we've been online. My thoughts on the PlayStation 5 Pro and how it's not all about the price, but it's mostly about the price. So go watch that one. A brand new video just gone live now. It's been live for 24 hours if you're a channel member. Everybody else, you can now go catch up to the wonderful premium people. What about yourself, my man? Are we back with Family Game Night now that you're back in the country?
Should be. Family Game Night tonight. I'm gonna get on to some Fortnite. And then look out for the download this Friday. So, a couple things coming up on the channel. Be sure to catch it. And also, just be sure to follow on all the socials. Click, like, subscribe, share out to people. And don't forget PlayStation Bros. Alright, everybody. We'll be catching you next week at the same time. Until then, play some PlayStation.
Have a great one, guys. Take care of yourself. Bye.
try to believe in me? Why try, do I even need to? I die with the season leaves, I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me who finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type, but as sick as bitch.